it's really interesting actually to see, really since the rise of Trump in the United States, how much the conversations around some of those things that you're talking about have changed. In fact,
Hmm.
I'm thinking as we're talking about this, I'm thinking about how much I have changed. I'm a constitutional attorney, right? Like I was taught to revere the Constitution, that to enforce the Constitution, to uphold it. It's one of my great joys in life is to be able to say, like, I'm a constitutional attorney. I've dedicated my career to defending that. But there's so much that's wrong with that document.
Right.
Um, I have my little stump speech at the beginning there, which I say that stuff all the time about how the separation of church and state is an American original. It's one of the truly unique contributions. And that is all true. And I
Hmm.
firmly believe that. But you could jettison the rest of that Constitution and still be kind of okay if you you kept it. I mean, like, and the Electoral College, which you pointed out, like that has its roots in slavery. The Senate, the U.S. Senate, has its roots in slavery, and there's so much that is wrong
Hmm.
with our Constitution, and so much of it actually goes back to that. I'm going to use the phrase original sin of slavery. That there's a really great um, legal communicator, Elie Mistal. He writes for The Nation. Hilarious, great follow on all social media, and he wrote a book that I highly recommend. People go check out, called "Allow Me to Retort," and in it he makes a point that has really stuck with me. And essentially, he's talking about a lot of this same stuff, a lot of the stuff that's wrong with the Constitution. And he uses South Africa as an analogy. And he says, look, the apartheid government in South Africa wrote apartheid into their entire constitution, right? There's not a way to salvage
Right.
an apartheid constitution. There's not a way to salvage a constitution that is that racist and recognizes that half the population is lesser and is fixated on the idea of ensuring that population has no political power, right? You have
Hmm.
to start over. And that's what South Africa did. They threw out their apartheid constitution and started over. In the United States, we didn't do that, right? We had a whole civil war about this really important issue. And instead of tossing out that constitution and starting over, we added a few sentences to the Constitution. Literally, that's all we did. I mean, we amended it, but we added 20 sentences to the Constitution. And
Right.
I often wonder, is that enough? I mean, if I were given dictatorial powers over the United States tomorrow, like, I would abolish the Senate and I would abolish the Electoral College, hands down. There's actually a really creative fix to the Electoral College that is gaining steam here in the United States. And in fact, Representative Jamie Raskin, who's a really remarkable one of the few remarkable legislators we have in this country, great defender of democracy, crafted this back when he was a state level legislator. And essentially, what it is it's states agreeing as states. So we have this interstate compact to have their Electoral College votes go in line with the popular vote, which, if that were adopted, would effectively wipe out the Electoral College. It would use
Hmm.
the Electoral College to wipe out the Electoral College, meaning that
Interesting.
all of those states would just go with what the majority of the country dictated. And once it gets to 270, which is how many votes you need to win the Electoral College, it goes into effect. So once that happens, once enough states sign on, it's game
Right.
over, and the popular vote will always dictate the outcome of national elections in the United States, which it's
Right.
crazy
Well,
that
you,
we
you
don't
would
have
think
that.
like even like there are a lot like there's millions and millions of conservatives in California whose votes kind of don't matter for that state because like I don't know what would
Yeah.
have to happen for that state to turn conservative, but like right now it's gonna be Democrat all the time, and then there's what 10, 20 million conservative votes that are kind of not counted.
Yeah.
Unless it's your representative. So it doesn't seem like a system that they would even think is fair. But I guess now with the popular vote going the way that it is, they just kind of want to lock in and say, well, we'll figure this out. We'll get this overturned on a state level.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, the Senate is another example of that. I mean, California, the population of California, and these are not exact, but I'm not far off. The population of California is equal to the population of the 15 least populous states. It might even be 20 plus, right?
Right.
So those 20 plus states get 40 senators and California gets 2, even though California has more people. That's
Right.
crazy.
It makes no sense whatsoever.